Pancakes for diabetics that barely budge your blood sugar and actually taste good? Is it even possible? Check this out. When I was young, I loved pancakes. Even though I was a skinny kid, I could eat a huge stack of them. When I became an adult, I developed the routine of wanting pancakes every Saturday morning. Why Saturday morning? Well, I was being merciful to my wife. Monday through Fridays were busy mornings getting ready to go to work. Sunday was busy for both of us getting ourselves and our 5 children ready for church. And do you think that's not a big job? But Saturday morning was a time to relax and enjoy a leisurely meal of pancakes and, of course, the obligatory sausage. But in my 20s and 30s, I never considered just how devastating this meal was toward my metabolic system. The white pancake flour was a terrible problem all by itself, and then topping it off with super sugary pancake syrup was a metabolic nightmare. When I started having blood sugar issues and I realized just how bad white flour products were for me, plus there was all that nasty sugary syrup, the pancakes had to go. There was no bargaining, negotiating, or reasoning. It was adios to my favorite Saturday breakfast. But they didn't go for long. I began looking around for recipes for some sort of substitute pancakes that would work for me. There was no YouTube in those days, but I did have the internet and I had George Stella's low-carb program on the Food Channel. The syrup was easy to replace. Even in those days, there were a number of sugar-free syrups available that were sweetened with sugar alcohols. And soon I came up with a recipe based on 3 main ingredients, heavy whipping cream, soy flour, and eggs, that seemed like they would make some pretty decent pancakes. I could see that these pancakes would result in just a fraction of the carbs of regular pancakes, and with the sugar-free syrup, I was pretty sure I could handle them safely. The question was the taste. I wasn't then, and still today I'm not willing to eat something just because it's low carb if it tastes absolutely terrible. But when my wife made them for me, I was ecstatic. They tasted really good. Maybe just a notch lower than regular pancakes, but not much. Pancakes were back on the menu again. But in this video, I'm going to share a recipe that almost everybody would give a seal of approval. These are based primarily on eggs and coconut flour with a little bit of almond flour thrown in. People often ask me, what do you eat? Well, these babies right here are my go-to breakfast, and I usually have them nearly every week, sometimes twice. They look like pancakes, they taste like pancakes, and you don't feel you're sacrificing much when you substitute them for your old traditional white flour pancakes. They're filling, they're good, and when you finish eating them, you feel like you've just chowed down on a traditional pancakes and sausage breakfast. Actually, even though I feel like I'm having these for breakfast today, this is really lunchtime. I skipped breakfast this morning and had a mug of bulletproof coffee, so sometimes on these days, my breakfast becomes my lunch, or I guess you could say my lunch is my breakfast. However you put it, I'm going to enjoy these beautiful pancakes and 2 sausage patties along with a cup of coffee. Life is good. I tested my blood sugar before coming on camera and it was at 102. How far will these pancakes spike it? I don't think they'll spike it much. I'll be back and report the results. But right now, let's take a look at just how these are made. To make these coconut flour pancakes, start with 3 eggs. I use a little mini blender to mix everything together. Put the 3 eggs in your blender or bowl and mix them thoroughly. Add 3 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream and then add 3 tablespoons of olive oil or melted coconut oil. Next come the dry ingredients. Add in 3 tablespoons of coconut flour, 1 tablespoon of almond flour, a couple of shakes of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1 packet of stevia or your sweetener of choice. That's it. Blend or mix everything thoroughly and your pancake mix is ready. When you first make it, it'll seem watery like it needs more flour, but hold off on that. After sitting about 4 or 5 minutes, it'll thicken up and should be the consistency necessary to make some great pancakes. Of course, you can always add in a little extra water or use more or less coconut or almond flour according to taste. As I cook them in a pan on the stove, I add a couple of optional ingredients. I sprinkle some slivered almonds on the pancake, and then to add a little extra flavor, I place 4 blueberries on each pancake. Now that's 4 blueberries, not 3 or 5. It has to be 4. Well, of course I'm kidding about that, although for me it really does have to be 4, but you feel free to use as many as you feel is right. And when you're done, you'll have 3 beautiful pancakes. Well, I have enjoyed my meal, my breakfast, which was really a lunch. I checked my blood sugar at the 1-hour mark and the 1.5-hour mark and then the 2-hour marks. And I'm well satisfied with the results. My pre-meal test was at 102. My 1-hour post-meal test revealed a 111, and at 1.5 hours post-meal, my monitor showed a 115, which was my peak. At the 2-hour mark, my blood sugar had gone back down to 101. Now, if you watch my videos, you know I can easily get up to 200 if I make poor choices of what I eat. In a previous YouTube experiment, I ate a single potato and had blood glucose around 200 at the 1-hour mark. I had a bowl of oatmeal and a slice of whole wheat toast and saw my blood sugar spike up to 180 at 1 hour. I had Fruit Loops with a slice of white toast and had my blood sugar spike at 218 again at 1 hour. Do you realize what a blessing a peak of 115 is after eating a meal, enjoying it thoroughly, and getting full? My blood sugar rose a scrawny little 13 points. Now, I know that this is not the only keto pancake recipe on the internet or on YouTube, so you may just want to type into the YouTube search box keto pancakes and you'll find all kinds of recipes. But I like this one and I'm satisfied because it's easy, it tastes really good, and has a minimal effect on my blood sugar. There are 3 eggs in this recipe, so you're eating a lot of eggs, but amazingly, there's no egg flavor to it, none at all that I can detect. You do taste a slight coconut flavor, but otherwise you feel like you're just eating pancakes, which you are, just a different version than the one your mama used to make for you. If you don't like the idea of using sugar-free syrup, you could always sweeten your pancakes with about 3 chopped up strawberries on top and leave off the blueberries. But the sugar-free syrup that I used had only 8 total grams of carbs per serving, and these were all sugar alcohols. So even if half the sugar alcohol grams did have an effect on my blood sugar, that would only amount to 4 grams. A couple of notes to keep in mind: because this recipe has a large egg content, you would do better to cook the pancakes at a slightly lower temperature than you might normally cook regular pancakes. And you have to be careful when turning them over. Turn them over too soon, and you'll have a royal mess. Turn them over too late, and they are burned. But as you make them regularly, you'll get the hang of it. I put the recipe for these pancakes in the description notes, so copy and paste it on your word processor and give it a try sometime. For this test, I ate only 2 of the 3 pancakes that I made, which is my usual practice. I saved the 3rd pancake for later to be used as part of a lunch, perhaps. Not much more to say except that this recipe works for me. Will it work for you? Test yourself and see. My guess is that it would not spike blood sugar much for most type 2 diabetics. But the only way that you'll know and can be sure is to try it and run some post-meal blood sugar tests. Well, that's it for now. Hope you found it helpful. If so, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to this Beat Diabetes channel and then clicking that bell icon so you'll be notified every time we post a new video. God bless, and see you again soon.